tariffs on beef, coffee, and more than 100 other food products. The CEO of the Food Industry Association, an industry group of grocers, remarked, quote, "Today's action should help consumers whose morning cup of coffee will hopefully become more affordable," as well as U.S. manufacturers, which utilize many of these products in their supply chains and production lines. Meanwhile, the White House announcing yesterday that they are making big progress on prices. The memo notes that they are reversing years of mismanagement.
I don't know, man. Link. He says sending military into states and cities against their will, pretty fascist. I mean, okay, well, let's see if you will to have the same argument against the Dems. So sending illegals into your city without the people say so, without them voting on it against their will, that's pretty fascist, man. You know, according to your argument, when you kind of force people or the military into the states, that's fascism, right? Okay, then great. So that means the Dems were practicing fascism all 4 years of Biden. All right, thank you.
Under Biden, who
Appreciate
spent
that,
years
my man.
insisting inflation was transitory while doling.
Hey, Daniel Welch, my man, how have you been? Shout out to my man, Daniel Welch. Hey, man, hope he's staying safe out there, my brother.
Out trillions in new spending. Since day one, the Trump administration has been on a mission to tame Biden's inflation crisis, stop the sky-high Biden price increases, and lower costs for everyday families, the White House document notes. And while it can't happen overnight, evidence shows that the trend is in the right direction. The trends are heading in the right direction, as you can see here. Overall inflation down, grocery prices down, gas prices down.
I mean, yeah, due to the fact that, 24% inflation on gas is most definitely right. When gas was hitting like $5, $6, yeah, that's the truth. But gas has gotten cheaper. It went down -5%. Groceries went up 0.3%, but under Biden, it was 3.8%. And this is the argument that everybody's been trying to get through to people when it comes to affordability, is that we lost so much buying power under Biden, we're trying to gain it back. Like when you go all the way up to 9%, and now we're getting reduced down to 3%, we really wanted that too. But that doesn't mean that there's still inflation. There's still going to be a slight rise, or there's still going to be a rise in prices, but it's not going to be as bad as it was under Biden with 9% inflation or 7% inflation. It's not going to be as bad. It's just going to be slowed down under 3% instead of rapid inflation under 7 or 9%. That's the real problem that we're facing right now. And that's what Trump needs to hone down on, is getting that grocery from that 1% to -1%, getting the overall inflation down from that 1.6% all the way down to -2%. That's what we really want. We want to see things in a negative. Sure, it be lower than Biden is okay, but it's really going to help the American people, not beating Biden, but getting this down to the negative.
And this trajectory is important, because there is no question this will be an election-defining issue and a central talking point for the left, for the media.
Affordability.
Affordability has been the main issue for Americans now for quite some time.
Well, what about this? What about that? What about Donald Trump? And he said, all I'm going to do are my 4 affordability planks.
The message was affordability. And that was clear and consistent.
Affordability. And that message was a big winner.
Peter Navarro is the White House senior.
Yeah, most definitely. They said affordability. And let's be honest, when it came to Mondani, there was really nothing we could do about that. I don't know, but let's see, a blue city voting for a blue mayor or a Democrat mayor, no surprise. New Jersey, a blue state, voting for a blue governor, no surprise. And Virginia, a state that went blue during the election, is voting for a Democrat mayor. No surprise. But for some reason, we're supposed to be, in shock and fear about it.
That message was a big winner.
Peter Navarro is the White House senior counselor for trade and manufacturing. He joins us from the White House. Peter, welcome. Big news yesterday with the rolling back of tariffs on 100 products. What motivated this decision?
Welcome back to your old house here, Kaylee. We miss you, and I'm glad your Saturday gig is going so well. It's very simple. In the fight, we have a lot of products on that exemption list, which we simply don't make. We don't make coffee to speak of. We don't make cocoa to speak of. And that was a good reason to exempt them from the tariffs. And then you take something like beef. I think that underscores the issue that will define the election in 2026. The Democrat hoax, Kaylee, they want to blame us for Biden's legacy inflation, and then they want to argue that their way is.
I mean, yeah, they want to argue. I mean, they want to complain about the affordability crisis, and I'm like, yeah, that started under Joe Biden. We're what? Well, Trump is 10 months and a half into fixing. 10 months and a half into fixing. I mean, they want to complain about the healthcare crisis and their healthcare. And what's the healthcare system? Oh, Obamacare. Your healthcare system is causing a healthcare crisis. Where's the accountability? So, yes, when they talk about the Republicans' affordability crisis, I mean, bro, when prices were tripling and doubling under Joe Biden, what the hell did you call that? What was that? Like, was that not an affordability crisis for us?
Better when we know it's not. And that's the thing. We'll be talking about this right up to November of 2026. But the problem, like, let's think chicken versus cattle, right? We had a severe chicken crisis that we inherited because Biden literally slaughtered over 100 million chickens in an overreaction to avian flu, right? But it only takes 45 days from egg to broiler in the supermarket to get chickens going. So we went at that, and that problem is solved. All those prices dropped dramatically. The problem with cattle, though, beef, it's a 1.5 to 2 year cycle. We're doing everything possible to move that along, but people are still paying too much for hamburgers. So we get that. The thing I want to assure everybody out there is that President Trump and everybody in this White House feels people's pain. We know that things are too expensive. But what we're going to do, Kaylee, is tackle these sectors one by one by one. You got shelter, with the housing, which is a huge issue, transportation, food. The shelter thing's really kind of interesting. That again has these long legs. It takes 18 months for the data and everything to catch up with reality. But a lot of the problems we have, Kaylee, interesting enough, particularly in the metro sections, is the illegal immigrants. Do this math. For every 1 million illegals that came into this country, drives up rent by 1%. So if we've got 10 to 20 million illegals, that's 10 to 20% alone upwards in rent. And it gets worse because that's a national average. But if the way it distributed, you get more like in the sanctuary cities like Chicago and New York, you feel that much, much more. Ergo, we get people like Mondami asking for rent control and free stuff. So we understand all this. We're attacking this. For the housing crisis, it's all about supply, supply, supply. That's what we need. For the healthcare issue, we've got an Obamacare, which is not really a healthcare system. It's an inflation engine because of the way it's structured. Kelly, every time we increase subsidies for Obamacare, who wins? It's the hospitals, insurers, and the pharmacy benefit managers because of the structure of Obamacare. So this is going to be job number one. It has been job number one, getting this down. The last thing I'd say, Kaylee, when you think about—
Now, it is true that the Obamacare subsidies do go to insurance companies, and it doesn't really help whatsoever. Honestly, they just raise their premiums to make it more unaffordable for your average American. And of course, you know, these healthcare companies and what was it called? Oh, pharmaceutical companies also, you know, overpriced as well. Overpriced. I mean, let's be real. When we overspend, they overprice. So yes, cuts in Medicaid, cuts in our healthcare system should be made. And instead of just dumping more into our healthcare system, I would say let's try to work for a more efficient healthcare system. I don't know. Let's up our technology when it comes to medical technology so we don't have to spend so much. We could work towards efficiency instead of just dumping a whole lot of money into it and hoping to God that it works out, because obviously that's not working.
About affordability, it's really important to understand that it's got two things to it. It's the price of things, but it's also how much you're earning. And what Donald Trump is the king of is driving up real wages, which means wages go up faster than inflation. During the first term, we went up 8% in real wages. During Biden's term, he went down 3%. So
That's a big deal.
that's a huge double-digit swing. So we are engaged fully on this. We'll be talking a lot over the coming months, sector by sector by sector. We will show you how we're going to get there, but people have to be patient in certain areas like housing and beef and hamburger, just because it's going to take us a long time to push that Biden legacy inflation out. Everything Biden did was inflationary. Every single thing.
Yeah, you're right, Peter. He took inflation. You handed him 1.9%. He took it to 9.1. President Trump has brought that down. And that was a great overview of all that you're working on. Peter Navarro.
And that was here's the thing. I'm not going to say that, Biden's bills didn't do anything good, because they did do some good things. I mean, he expanded the 35 cap on insulin. So that was nice, but that was through the Inflation Reductionary Act, and that was a lot of spending. Like, a lot of Biden's bills included heavy spending, which is why he ran a deficit all 4 years of his presidency, and it drove up inflation. I mean, it is what it is with Biden. Like I said, I mean, because I don't really like bashing the guy too much, because I know the Dems get mad about it, but let's be honest, guys. It did good things, but in the end, what happened? Inflation skyrocketed. Like the SAVE Acts that took kids out of poverty and was able to help them eat. Well, guess what? Due to the inflation, those kids were right back in poverty. So they only had a good 2 years of good times, and then when inflation skyrocketed, guess what? They're right back in poverty. So yeah, it does good things in the beginning, and then it tailspins into the ground in the end.
Really appreciate you taking the time. Good to see you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe.
I mean, it's a tough cycle. It's a tough cycle with Democrat policies. It's like, Obamacare. It was all good in the beginning, hip, hip, hooray, and all that good stuff. And then, it tailspins into the ground in the end. It just is what it is. But let's see how the Dems are covering Trump's drawback of the tariffs on groceries. Well, produce like coffee, bananas, apples. Let's see what's going on with that.
Amid mounting pressure to tackle rising prices at the grocery store, the Trump administration says it's taking action. On Friday, President Trump signed an executive order allowing dozens of products like coffee, bananas, and beef to be exempted from his sweeping tariffs. The move marks a notable reversal for Trump, who has repeatedly insisted tariffs are necessary to protect U.S. businesses and workers.
So let's get it straight. He didn't relieve the country of all tariffs. He just said certain grocery items will no longer be tariffs. So he's pretty much allowing for certain items to not be tariffed. And then these other countries, whatever other products they sell that aren't grocery items, will continue to be tariffs. So to sit here and say that, he completely walked back on tariffs. No, he didn't.
Let's discuss now with journalist Rick Newman. He is a former Yahoo Finance columnist who now authors the Substack, a newsletter, The Rick Report. Hey, how are you, Rick? All right, thanks for being with us. So is this potentially going to make an impact?
I don't think anybody's going to notice, to be honest. So just to underscore what you just said, Frederica, Trump is removing his own tariffs on what is about, looks like a couple hundred products. You can find the whole list of products. I mean, Trump says he's focusing on stuff that you can't easily grow or produce in the United States. So it's coffee. That's important. Coffee's up 19% year over year. It's bananas, it's pineapples, it's mangoes, it's cinnamon, it's cumin, it's capers. So all he's doing is taking away the tax that he imposed on those products earlier this year. I don't think those products, or at this point, I don't even think groceries really are the main thing that is what people think of as the affordability problem.
I know, because it's like I said, and when I was thinking about this, people are going to say, well, doesn't that mean they drive up prices? I mean, no, not really, because we get a lot of our groceries at home. Like a lot of our produce, 90% of our produce come from at home. So yeah, well, he's even admitting that groceries wasn't really our concerning affordability problem. And I mean, that's just the honest truth. I mean, the only thing that is really going to help is what? I mean, coffee, bananas, and certain fruits. So yeah, I mean, and that might not even help it all together, because let's be real, a lot of these guys weren't even passing down the cost. And if they did pass up, and if they did increase their costs, well, it only helped out American produce. So, hey, we'll see how this goes. And we'll see if he draws back more tariffs. And then maybe we can sit here and say, oh, tariffs is a straight pass down cost to the consumer, which I'm gonna be honest with you. Did I ever say that tariffs don't raise prices? No. I say that it's incorrect to sit there and say that tariffs is just streamlined straight to the consumer and there's nothing else that gets in the way. Because overhead could take a hit and they could take it to the profit margin. I've always said that. But them drawing back prices on this, I'm not sure if that's really gonna help affordability because, well, most of our beef comes from here. Coffee comes out what? In Brazil, so I mean that'll help coffee prices. That might help banana prices, but other things not so much. I don't even know really what the beef was for. I think that was just to prepare us for the Argentina beef.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff
It's
that
a
has
good
been
part
getting
of
more
it.
expensive and going up in price by more than income. And
Yeah.
Trump has not said much about a lot of that stuff yet.
I mean, groceries is just one of the many things that, is hitting people hard. I mean, it's why folks are unable to save. They're spending most of their earnings. So the Trump administration's, trade representative Jamieson Greer was asked yesterday whether the president's tariffs have raised costs on Americans. And this is what he said.
Depends what the importers do with the tariff. When you look at the overall price trend,
as I said, depends what the importer does with the tariffs. He can ask for a better deal from the supplier and they cut their price to match the tariff. The importer could take it to the profit margin or to the overhead costs, or then they could split costs all three ways. I mean, they could split a 20% tariff three ways, and maybe they pass the last 10% down to, or let's say the 30% tariff. If they pass it three ways, they might pass that 10% down to the consumer. I mean, does that mean the consumer eat the complete tariff? No. Does that mean that there's a price adjustment? Yeah. Does it constantly raise prices? No, it does not. So when they try to say tariffs are inflationary, I mean, no, it doesn't dramatically raise prices. Inflationary means that prices are damn near going up every month, every week. Now, a price adjustment is a one-time price adjustment that would happen under tariffs. That would raise prices of foreign products, which would make domestic products more appetizing. That was the whole plan. And of course, to bring back manufacturing. But the Dems forget that part.
it hasn't been because of tariff. It's been because of these other events going on and just supply and demand.
Is he right?
That's careful parsing. There are a lot of things that affect prices and inflation. Tariffs is one of them. I mean, there are many economic analyses that are nonpartisan on this, and they find that, let's say Trump's tariffs as they exist today, if they stand in place for a year, they're going to add something like $1,500 or $1,800 or $2,000 to the cost of a typical household. So tariffs are we go back to basics. Tariffs are a tax that the importer, which can be Walmart, Target, a wholesaler, or any kind of company, that American company has to pay the tax to the U.S. Treasury. So their costs go up, and they try to pass as much of those costs onto their own customers as they can, all the way down to you and me. Now, their alternative is just to have higher costs and lower profits, but no company wants to do that. So this is affecting companies and consumers, no matter how you parse it.
Yeah. And then there's...
Now, I would do say, here's the thing, too. I mean, if we go ahead and tax, these multi-million corporations, and we tax these guys, right, through tariffs, you guys are saying, oh, that's a tax on the consumer. Well, that makes any tax on the rich a pass down to the consumer. We could raise corporate taxes. Well, they could pass that down to the consumer. We could raise income tax, property tax, all that the wealth owns, tax their ass to death, and they could pass that all down to us. So it kind of goes to show, like, all right, well, you guys are just mad. You guys are just upset about tariffs because it's Trump, because you guys want to raise taxes on the rich, and that could get passed down to us, but nobody wanted to talk about that. And then you're kind of saying that, well, anytime you try to force any tax on the rich, well, they'll just pass it down to the consumer. And if that's the case, then why even tax the rich?
New data, showing how tough this affordability crisis is for so many Americans. An analysis by Bank of America released this week shows nearly a quarter of U.S. households are living paycheck to paycheck this year. They spend over 95% of their income on necessities like housing, gasoline, groceries, childcare, utilities. So is that startling to you?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's worrisome for sure. But so we're calling it the affordability crisis in 2025. Much of this is not new. I mean, the tariffs are a new type of pressure, and Trump rolled those out at about exactly the wrong time. But this is wealth inequality and income inequality, inequality that we.
And I would ask him this, because I mean, Dems can never answer this. All right, well, what would you do to bring back jobs? How would you get Pfizer? How would you get AstraZeneca to bring back their manufacturing? Well, because the only way to do it is through tariffs. And you just can't say, well, build the infrastructure first. For who to move in? For who? Because if you're against tariff, you're just building a factory for no goddamn reason. So give me a better reason to bring these companies in than tariffs. And they low-key can't give you one. I mean, what you want to do? Bring down the minimum wage? You're not going to do that. I mean, what are you going to do? Try to raise taxes or lower taxes to help the billionaires do their business? Well, your base don't like that. So what were you going to do?
Been talking about for a long time. Yeah. I mean, we've got a shareholder class in the United States and we have a working class in the United States. And if you're lucky enough to own stocks and own a home, and you bought that home and you were able to refinance at 3% on a mortgage, then you're in good shape. But if you are trying to buy a new home, you're priced out. If you're living on a paycheck and you don't have financial assets, you don't feel like you're getting ahead. So these are long-term problems that seem to be intensifying, and Trump is now the one stuck having to deal with it. And so far, he's been very tone deaf to what is a really serious problem for millions of Americans.
Yeah, seriously, tough times for a lot of people. All right, Rick Newman, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Trump administration is scrambling to make good on a campaign promise that, by his own account, won him re-election: to bring prices down. One solution: reversing part of Trump's tariff policy. The president yesterday signed an executive order to retroactively lower tariffs on beef, tomatoes, coffee, and bananas. The agricultural items are now excluded.
Hold on. Did he fully remove them or he just lowered them?
From reciprocal tariffs, but not the tax entirely. The move comes after Trump claimed falsely that prices have fallen during his administration. CNN correspondent Rafael.
Well, hold on now. And you can't say falsely. When it comes to gas and other things as well, prices has fallen. And the steady increase of pricing has lessened. So we got to give Trump that.
Romo is joining me live from a food giveaway event in Atlanta. And have things been picking up?
Yeah, so we saw a lot of activity in the last couple of hours here, Fred. Unfortunately, this effort is wrapping up. But let me tell you, it is one thing to talk about the state of the economy, inflation, tariffs, and the government shutdown. And an entirely different thing, Fred, is when you actually see people in need coming to an event like this one, a food drive, because they need help. And what the organizers told us is that they were prepared to help about 1,000 families today. All of the boxes that you see behind me, some of the tables and the tents, they were set up so that people would get vegetables, they would get chicken, they would get potatoes, some non-perishables. And we saw lines of cars lining up here right next to me, picking up all of that food. But the reality is that the challenge is not over, Fred. And we heard earlier from Dr. Bernice King, the chairman of the King Center, who said that even though today was a great day to help many families in need, they're bracing for what's coming next in the next few weeks and the next few months. This is what she had to say.
Although the shutdown is over, we know that people are still suffering. They're still struggling. We're living in very precarious times. And so we want the world to know today that although the shutdown is over, we have not shut down our compassion.
And Fred, for this event, two organizations have joined forces. One, of course, is the King Center. The other one is New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. They are helping people who are not necessarily thinking about Thanksgiving, even though we're less than 2 weeks away. I earlier spoke with the beneficiary who told me that she didn't even know what she was going to put on her table tonight for dinner. This is what she had to say.
Which is crazy, because I'm just like, why would the Dems want to hold up food stamps and then try to play this ridiculous game with the American people, which is effed up, completely effed up. But all right, guys, I do want to get into this little clip right here. I mean, shout out to Liberal Hive Mind, because this was a very revealing clip. Let's get right into it.
exposed. In this case, specifically with the Somali community in Minneapolis. Take a look.
Officers from our Fraud Detection and National Security Directorate, working in teams, have conducted over 1,000 site visits across the Minneapolis-St. Paul area as part of this operation. Focusing on a list of over 1,000 target cases involving more than 900 individuals, our officers encountered blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system, abuse of the F-1 visas, and many other discrepancies. Over the course of the operation, our officers found indication of fraud, non-compliance, or public safety and national security concerns in nearly a little less than 50% of the cases interviewed. We found troubling patterns with the Uniting for Ukraine program that should have raised serious concerns under other administrations, such as an individual filing to sponsor more than 100 aliens, and organizations sponsoring hundreds. We are continuing to investigate these cases.
Can anybody say Ilhan Omar? You know,
yeah, the lady who married her brother so he can get into the United States. Yeah, that Ilhan Omar. So yeah, there is fraud in the immigration system, heavy fraud. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we got to crack down on it. And you know what? The Dems are right. We do need some immigration reform, some stricter immigration reforms to make sure that, you know, fraud like this can't be done again. I mean, we would all want that, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we want that for the American people? Is that just so bad? But all right, guys, let's get into H-1B visas. You know what? I'm more aligned with Margie Taylor Greene on this one. So, but you know, let's hear her out for herself. Check this clip out.
My dear fellow Americans, I'm introducing a bill to completely eliminate the H-1B visa program, which has been riddled with fraud and abuse and has been displacing American workers for decades. There will only be one exemption in my bill, and it will allow for a $10,000 per year cap on visas issued to medical professionals like doctors and nurses who provide life-saving care to Americans. However, even this $10,000 per year cap will be phased out over 10 years to allow us time to build our own pipeline of American doctors and physicians. My bill will also restore the original intent of the visa, for it to be temporary. These visas were intended to fulfill a specialty occupational need at a given time. People should not be allowed to come and live here forever. We thank them for their expertise, but we also wish them well so they may return to their home country. My bill will take away the pathway to citizenship, forcing visa holders to return home when their visa expires. In order to build our pipeline of American doctors and medical professionals, my bill will also prohibit Medicare-funded residency programs from admitting non-citizen medical students into their programs. Just last year alone, there were over 9,000 doctors in the U.S. who graduated from medical school but were left without a residency placement. Meanwhile, in 2023 alone, there were over 5,000 foreign-born doctors who received residency spots. This is entirely unfair, and it's America last. My bill will help mitigate the shortage of doctors and nurses in our country, the shortage that we face, while at the same time serve as an off-ramp from our reliance on foreign workers by allowing us time to fill our residency programs with American doctors. Now, this will completely end the H-1B visa program in all other sectors in the job force and in the workforce. This is America first. It's time to put American citizens first instead of foreigners first. And this has gone on, and this has been an abuse for far too long. Americans deserve a future, they deserve a chance, and I believe Americans are the most talented people in the world, the most creative, and I want them to have their American dream. Thank you.
And Lincoln, it's not about shouldn't the best man win. They're not better than us. They're cheaper than us. Bro, they pay more than us just to get into the college. So it's about financial incentive, which you should be against. But for some reason, downplay the American citizens, you're willing to get behind the corruption, which is crazy. But hey, it is what it is. So let's get over to what Shapiro got to say about this, because he completely had the wrong take on this. And man, trust me, there's a lot you guys don't know, because You think these guys outperform us? Well, they don't. Actually, we outperform them. The problem is they're cheaper. And I mean, it's way easier for these companies to exploit these guys when their employment, or not their employment, but their residency depends on their employment. It's a lot easier to exploit and to pay them less. So if you're okay with that, then yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, they're better. They're better than us to hire, but not because they're smarter than us. Not at all.
Many of our best founders in the United States are either immigrants or the children of immigrants who came in on H-1B visas, or who came in just generally without an H-1B visa through other forms of legal immigration as students.
Well, I guess I would say if 83% of H-1Bs coming to the United States weren't entering in at low-level jobs like junior entry-level positions, that's 83.
Exactly. It's like, so if they're supposed to be here for skilled labor, then why are they here for entry-level positions? Like in tech, medicine, engineering. I mean, come on now. You can't sit there and say that, oh, it's the best of the best, but they're not coming for these high-level positions to teach Americans. No, they're filling up the entry-level and mid-level position that Americans are supposed to fill. And it's not because they're better than us. It's because they're cheaper. And I mean, we're talking about the tech oligarchs are the most egregious offenders. And you guys will think it's about, oh, they're smarter than us. Like I said, no, cheaper, not smarter.
3% from 2020 to 2024. Ben Shapiro would have a great point. But that's the case, so he doesn't. This is just a silly take, in my opinion. No, not in my opinion. It's a silly take. Here's Ben Shapiro, who, by the way, is, of course, very sharp on a lot of issues. H-1Bs.
It's like, look, bro, I'm a Trump supporter too, but supporting Trump on what he said about Americans and us not having the talent is not it, bro. Like, even I will disagree with Trump to the end of my life about that. Never will I ever sit there and try to downplay the American workforce.